He was told the same story about his abandonment for as long as he could remember, that it had been necessary, that there was no other option, that it was better this way. He was 42 when he realized that explanation had never really made sense. Not because someone finally told him the truth, not because he went searching for answers. It happened quietly. During a family visit meant to be brief, he passed through the hallway and heard voices coming from the kitchen. Low, careful, the kind of conversation people assume no one else is listening to. He wasn't paying attention at first. Then a sentence stopped him. Just a few words, spoken softly, almost like a reminder between two people who believed the past was settled. It contradicted what he had lived with for decades. He didn't step into the room. He didn't interrupt. He stood there, listening long enough to know this wasn't a misunderstanding. For years, he had accepted the explanation his parents gave him when he was a child. They said circumstances had forced their hand, that the separation wasn't about him. He learned early that asking too many questions made people uncomfortable. So he stopped asking. He adapted to absence instead. Birthdays where one chair was always empty. Phone calls that never came. Holidays where something important was missing, even if no one named it. He never accused, never demanded answers. He built his life around the idea that some losses don't have reasons, they just happen. After that day, small memories began to rearrange themselves. He remembered a card his parents once kept in a drawer, unsigned and never explained. He remembered dates that were always avoided in conversation. He remembered how quickly the subject changed whenever he asked why things had happened the way they did. Those details had once felt insignificant. Now they felt intentional. A few days later, he asked his parents about what he had heard. His voice was steady, his question simple. Their reaction said more than their words. They didn't deny it. They hesitated. That pause confirmed what the explanation never had. The truth didn't come all at once. It surfaced in fragments. They admitted that the story they told him years ago wasn't complete, that it had been easier to simplify things than to face the consequences of honesty. They believed time would dull the impact, that he would move on, that the details no longer mattered. What they hadn't understood was how living with an incomplete truth shapes a person. Silence doesn't erase pain, it redirects it inward. As more details emerged, he realized the abandonment hadn't been inevitable. It had been a choice, one made quietly, then protected by years of omission. The loss he carried suddenly had context. It wasn't just about being left. It was about never being trusted with the truth. When his parents finally acknowledged that, there was no drama, no raised voices, no excuses, just regret. They told him they were sorry, not only for the decision itself, but for allowing him to build an entire life around an explanation that never gave him peace. He listened without interrupting. The anger he expected never came. What he felt was heavier and clearer. Understanding. That night, nothing was fixed. The past didn't change. The years didn't return. But something inside him settled. For the first time, his story made sense. Not because it was easier, but because it was honest. They didn't try to justify themselves anymore. He didn't ask for more. They sat together in silence, aware of everything that could never be undone. And somehow, that was enough to begin again. Not with answers to every question, but with the truth finally spoken. Some families don't fracture because of what they do. They fracture because of what they refuse to say. And sometimes reconciliation doesn't come from repairing the past, but from finally understanding it.